right, rolling into the second half hour of the Patrick Reagan Show. Proud partner of the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network and being broadcast locally on News Talk 98.7 WOKI. A little bit more summer music there. Hey, when we left off, I was kind of railing on Rush here about, well, just about kind of not backing us up on this NSA court ruling here as the voice of the conservative side. The reason he changed his mind, what he was stating was because this judge was on Fox News and basically saying that there's nothing wrong with what the NSA is doing. And everyone's just overreacting. So I wanted to play another judge that I listen to because, well, he just makes sense. He's just like this radio show. He's fighting for freedom and liberty. And, of course, I'm referring to Judge Andrew Napolitano. Here's his take on the NSA spying program.
The whole purpose of the Fourth Amendment is to prevent the government from doing just this. It's to prevent it from interfering with the privacy rights of innocent people, a lot of innocent people, in order to find a few that may be planning something wrong. Nobody wants the wrong thing to happen. But the idea that we would sacrifice liberty in order to obtain safety is a canard. This is just a shortcut to make it easier for America's spies to spying on Americans.
Now, that's a voice of logic and reason. But apparently Rush missed that and would listen to the pro-government spying advocate. And this is despite the fact back in June, he was complaining about the NSA collecting this same metadata, complaining it was a violation of our constitutional rights. And this is what he's saying now.
It's natural that a lot of people would, in the process of misunderstanding what the NSA is doing, would also support the ruling. It almost nabbed me.
So he was almost deceived by the court ruling. But it wasn't because he thought the court deciding the NSA spying was unconstitutional. No. It was because he was in it for the Obama administration and the Democrats. Just listen to this next quick clip.
I did find myself tending to support it simply because I think this regime is behaving outside the constitution on a daily basis. And any action that signifies that and identifies it and reins it in would tend to get my support.
So anything that points out how this administration is acting outside the Constitution, Rush supports. Doesn't matter about the principle, just the fact it's a billy club with which he can smack his opponents over the head. That's it, nothing more. And how do I know that? Because George Bush was acting outside our Constitution as well, and he had no problem with that. Oh, Patrick, he's a conservative. He has principles. He cares about the Constitution. He fights for freedom. Nope. Sorry to burst your bubble. As you can hear in this next clip, the reason he starts to suspect he may be on the wrong side of the argument is because he finds himself aligned with the media whom he hates.
I saw the media reaction to this and said, wait a minute. They're too happy about this. So I don't trust the media. The media's interests and mine do not coincide. They're leftists, folks. This is how I do it. Some people may think, well, this is awfully simplistic, Rush. That's what you do. No, it isn't. It really is very simple. And it is really very truthful. The left is who they are, and I don't agree with them about anything. And when they're happy about something, I generally am not.
Again, don't blow my email up complaining I'm picking on Rush. Because this is the man who is the voice of the conservative movement in this country. And he's saying just because the media likes it, he doesn't, likes this ruling. This is a person who doesn't use his principles to guide him. He doesn't believe in following the Constitution, despite what he preaches day after day. Because if he did, he would agree with this ruling and not be swayed by whoever might happen to also agree with him. He wouldn't be fighting against this sort of thing back in June and now justifying it by towing the government line of, it's only metadata. In June, metadata bad. Now, metadata good. What's changed? Nothing. The media just happens to agree with this court ruling. As I said, this is the voice of the conservative movement in this country. This is the voice from whom many conservatives in this country form their opinions about things. And this is the reason why many conservatives are hypocrites. Liberals, too, don't want to leave them out. But I'm giving the conservatives a hard time because they preach this adherence and respect for the Constitution, but that's all it is, lip service. If Rush believed in the Constitution, he would support this ruling no matter who else supported it. Or is it that he's admitting he doesn't know as much as these people in the media or doesn't think he does anyway? Instead of suspecting that maybe the media have it wrong on this issue, he just immediately assumes he's wrong and starts changing his thoughts on it. I didn't hear the media taking the other side when they found out themselves on the same side as Rush. No, it was Rush who immediately assumed he might be wrong and started changing his opinion. Again, this is from the person who has been dubbed the leader of the conservative movement. Do you rank and file conservatives agree with this? Not only this changing your mind according to what the media and other liberals think, but this whole endorsement of what the NSA is doing. This perpetuation of the lie that they're only collecting phone numbers. The NSA isn't actually listening in on phone conversations. This is something that's been admitted to by the government. The government has admitted they have monitored actual telephone conversations, and we still have conservatives who say they aren't. I have a feeling that the listeners of this show don't think this way. This is what I was talking about in the first segment. I believe most conservatives have some libertarian thinking. Libertarians have just been trashed so much, conservatives haven't stopped to consider just how much they really do think like them. They have just dismissed the libertarian arguments based on the fact that major conservative commentators and pundits have described libertarians as idealistic and even outright crazy. Even Rush did. I've got a quote here I played back during the last presidential campaign when he's talking about Ron Paul.
This Ron Paul is going to destroy this party if this is nuts on parade. The media loves this guy as nuts on parade. They want the whole Republican Party to be identified with the kookiness of Ron Paul. Hey, let Iran get nukes. It's our fault anyway. 1979 happened because they weren't minding their own business. That audience goes nuts. Oh, my gosh. What am I watching here? Oh, look who's on Fox. Oh, there he is outside the ice cream stand. Good old Ron Paul. Yeah, that's what we need. More of that.
Did you hear that? I just picked that up here. This clip is from last year, and yet it just reinforced the argument I made concerning Rush. Let me back it up here and play that part again. Well, it's not going to go on me. But he just said, the media loves this guy. That may be one of the reasons Rush didn't like Ron Paul. We just stumbled on that by accident. We just talked about the influence the media had on Rush with this NSA spying court ruling. Then I play his clip about him trashing Ron Paul, and Rush states the media loves this guy. This show can't help but be correct. But back to my point of him making fun of Ron Paul, calling him cookie. This is why a lot of conservatives don't want to identify with or even admit they support libertarianism and not so much conservatism. They instinctively know that government isn't the solution, even if it's conservative government. The only difference between true conservatives and true liberals is what the government is making you do. Not that either one wants any less of it. I think a big reason is ignorance. A lot of conservatives are ignorant of the reasons behind having a more libertarian government, and that's what this show is out to correct. You see, what you're hearing from us is a danger in not having sound principles that you can defend. This is the problem of being a hypocrite. This is the predicament you will find yourself in if you don't know for what you stand. This is why I did a segment a few weeks ago on the Senate's nuclear option. You can check that in our archives. But basically, all the people who were arguing for it were arguing against it when George Bush was in office. And all the people who were arguing against it were arguing for it now that Obama's in the office. Both sides have gone 180 degrees depending on who's in office, their team's in office. We're already up on the last break of the show. Already, gosh, this of the hour this way. It's usually a shorter segment, so during the next couple of minutes, I'll thumb through all this stuff and try to hit something that'll fit into that segment. Join us then, won't you? You're listening to me, Patrick Riggins, here on the Patrick Riggins Show and the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network.
I watched you find